The human heart. It's not just an organ. Well, to us, many of us, we think of falling in love, or looking at the stars, or writing poetry. We also think of pain, loss, and broken heart. Well, the heart is an impressive pump, and most of us know it's situated in the chest region, but when we look at all the different parts, it's easy to get lost and lose the beauty of the heart. And that's why I drew it. Because when I drew it, I pushed all the words out of the way. Well, sort of. I put little symbols here. The basic function here, we have atrium, ventricle, to the lungs. We're going to pick up fresh oxygen, glucose, then atrium, ventricle, to the body. AV lungs, AV body. Lub dub, lub dub. That's the sound of the heart until the day we die. All right, so let's look at some details here. From the body, we have deoxygenated blood. There's the word if you're wondering how it's spelled. And it's also coming from my head and my shoulders. The focus is to pump this blood into the first chamber called the right atrium, patient's right side. Yeah, this is the patient's right shoulder, right arm, right atrium. Now we have these valves. We have a valve between the atrium and ventricle. This one's called the tricuspid valve, TV. And that's to prevent blood from flowing backwards, because that doesn't do us any good if it's flowing backwards. On the other side of the heart, we have the bicuspid, sometimes called the mitral valve as well. I spelled it up here, mitral. All right? Try on the patient's right, buy on the left. Try before you buy something, yeah? Tricuspid, bicuspid, or mitral. All right, these yellow fibers called the Chordae Tendon, they're on both sides too. They're going to pull that valve open when the heart contracts so that blood can pour down into the right ventricle. Okay, they're anchored with these papillary muscles here, these little bumps, so that it's like a string, really, a cord. All right, so blood's going to move down into the patient's right side. Then we got to pump it to the lungs. Okay, that's our mission here. We have a pulmonary vein valve, excuse me, and this is to prevent backflow also. So on the pulmonary, we have a PV, pulmonary valve. On the aortic, we have an aortic valve. And the job is simple. Let's keep blood moving in one direction. Pulmonary trunk to the lungs. And here's where we're going to swap out that carbon dioxide and waste products. We're going to pick up glucose and oxygen. I put it down here. Oxygenated now. Now, of course, the blood is not necessarily pink or red or blue. Much of the plasma is clear, but I'm using colors just to help me understand. Blue, patient's right side deoxygenated. Red, patient's left side. Okay, we're going to travel through the pulmonary veins. Now, sometimes students think, well, I thought veins carried low oxygen blood. But no, if it's an artery, that means it's moving away from the heart. If it's a vein, it means blood's traveling towards the heart. We don't worry about how much oxygen or CO2 is in there. So through the pulmonary veins, we're going to go through the patient's left side, left atrium, past that bicuspid mitral valve, past the Chordae Tendon, those fibers that help pull on the valve. Now we're going to go past that aortic valve, AV. At this point, we're going to duck under the pulmonary trunk. So you got to think of going underneath to the ascending aorta. Now here, we're not going anywhere unless we have blood to the brain. So we have the brachiocephalic BA. Brachio means arm, cephalic head. Good name. Or the left common carotid. Going to go to the brain. Or the subclavian, I like that word, under the clavicle, subclavian, going off in this direction. Now the heart's also going to feed itself through the coronary arteries on the top, and that blood's going to continue down through the descending aorta. And there's the story, the beautiful human heart.